Hi, my name's Dawn Duncan. I am a board member of the Massachusetts Center for Native American Awareness. We are grateful for the Unitarian Universalist Church for asking us to participate in the Earth Day event. Mass Center for Native American Awareness, also known as MCNAA, is a nonprofit organization that was founded in 1989 by Bern Stanley Peters, who's the current president of the organization, along with her late husband, Slow Turtle. And the organization has been providing a variety of kinds of educational and cultural programming since its founding in 1989. And we have been headquartered in Danvers since around 2015, so we definitely have a local presence. We have also worked with the town of Danvers at times. We've had a powwow at Endicott Park several times, which we coordinate with the city. So it does feel appropriate that we are locating, or that we're doing something with the Unitarian Church in Danvers. For myself, I live in Lynn, Mass. So I'm also on the North Shore. In terms of my own heritage, I am part Cherokee and Powhatan, and my grandfather grew up in Oklahoma in the Midwest and shared our history with our family, a tradition I've tried to continue myself. I've been on the board of NCNA for, gosh, almost 20 years, I think, since around 2002 or 2003. So I'd like to start with a short land acknowledgement to honor the Indigenous land that we are on. So I'll do that and then talk a little bit about things about Earth Day. Okay, we feel it's appropriate at this time to acknowledge that the land that we stand on here at what is now known as Danvers, Massachusetts, and surrounding areas has been home to Native Americans for thousands of years. Native Americans from several dozen nations have inhabited what we call Greater Boston for at least 10,000 years. At the time the Europeans began settling in what is now Massachusetts, the land was home to tens of thousands of native peoples. In Danvers, Mass, traditionally this land was the home of the Pawtucket or Pinnacook and the Massachusetts. We acknowledge the painful history of genocide, colonization, and a slew of atrocities and historical misinformation that is much too long to list here. We honor and respect the many diverse Indigenous peoples still connected to this land on which we gather. We hope that you will take the time to learn about what local Native Americans are doing now to protect, support, and share their culture. Thank you. So that leads me into one of the questions that was asked when we were requested to do a presentation, which is, who are our local Indigenous neighbors and how can we be more involved with their goals? So I guess to talk about who our local Indigenous neighbors are, it's kind of important to provide a broader context a bit, in the sense that in Massachusetts, the only kind of federally recognized tribe is the Wampanoag. And so there's not really a set kind of tribe in the North Shore or Danvers area. In my experience in being involved with my culture and Native culture out here in the Northeast, I found that many of the activities are more intertribal. So people band together, get together for events and sharing things in order to preserve culture. So in terms of Danvers, where we are and on the North Shore, I mean, basically I would say that the local Indigenous neighbors would be a variety. So people who live on the North Shore and identify as Indigenous or Native American. For example, with Mass Center for Native American Awareness, we're an intertribal organization, so we have representation from many different nations. And how can you be more involved with our goals? Again, collaborating with groups like MCNAA, finding out, maybe doing research on history of the local areas and groups, tribes that were maybe here before. Those are all ways that an organization such as yours could support the kind of goals we work on. With MCNAA, we do a number of different programs. We have cultural programming through our powwows, so people are certainly welcome to be involved in those kind of things. We also support activities. For example, we're very supportive of eliminating Native American mascots and say changing Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day. That typically happens on kind of a local level. So what'll often happen is people will decide to take on a project, and we are happy to support them by providing resources, information, things like that. So those are some ways that an organization like the Unitarian Church could certainly get involved with kind of the things that we're doing. Those are the kind of the things that pop into my mind. So thinking about kind of Earth Day, it's interesting, a couple of years ago, I actually did a presentation at the United Nations International Day of Peace celebration when their theme, the United Nations International Day of Peace theme, was about peace and climate action. So I thought I might talk about that a little bit. Yeah, so the theme of that event was about balancing around climate change. So in the early 1900s, there was a group of us in Somerville, Massachusetts, led by an Abenaki matriarch named Firewoman. And we created an organization called the Intertribal Council of Toba Menehan. Toba means turtle, and Menehan means island in the Abenaki language. And Turtle Island is a term commonly used by Indigenous peoples to describe the planet, Mother Earth. In this symbology, we all are living on the back of the turtle. And I find it interesting that many use the symbol of the turtle, since turtles are among the creatures on Earth with the longest lifespan. The other thing about turtles is that when they fall over on their back, they need some help to right themselves. They can't do it all by themselves. So that seems symbolic of Mother Earth, right, needs help from us to protect her. And so we all know that Turtle Island, Mother Earth is suffering, and what can we maybe do to balance it and help out? One of the things that I had found astounding when I was doing some research around climate change is that the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change found that Indigenous people of North America are disproportionately vulnerable to climate change, and Alaska Native villagers particularly are among America's first climate refugees. A recent federal report found that 184 out of 213, or 86%, of these villages are susceptible to flooding and erosion, with 31 villages qualifying for permanent relocation. And one of the sad things about all this is that Indigenous people have a negligible carbon footprint, but are among the most vulnerable to climate change. Many of us have also heard of coyote, symbolized in many Indigenous cultures as trickster in stories of Native American culture. Often portrayed as sneaky and annoying, coyote is also considered a manifestation of the divine. In the Crow tribe, he's worshipped as a god of creation, and that many, many years ago, he rebuilt the planet and humanity. So I guess I think that there's a bit of a trickster element to the irony that Indigenous people are so vulnerable to climate change, while also holding the knowledge and wisdom that may be the only thing to save our precious Mother Earth. Tribal ecological wisdom and practices is very time-tested, climate resilient, sustainable, and cost-effective. So I'm saying this to say that on Earth Day, I just think that it's important to bring to our attention these kind of issues, and that as Indigenous people, we do have a history of wisdom and understanding about environmental practices that hopefully we can use to help save our Mother Earth. And we hope that organizations such as the Unitarian Universalist Church will join us in these kind of such efforts. So I thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to hopefully collaborating with you on some projects or activities. And we wish you a very happy Earth Day. Hope that we can all work together, and please feel free to visit our organization at mcnaa.org. And again, thank you so much for inviting us to participate. Dawn Duncan, board member, MCNAA. Aho.